Tonight on the Mississippi Gulf Coast. We're going to go back out to Brett Buffington with our sister station in Houston. He's joining us live tonight in Pascagoula. And how's it going out there from the last time we talked to you?
Natalie, Kate, the wind has certainly picked up. So has the rain. I want to tell you, just in the last 15 minutes, 18 miles offshore, Petit Bois Island is there. I told you earlier about those offshore islands that give some little bit of buffer here, but on that island there is a weather monitoring station with a wind gauge. In the last 15 minutes they measured a gust at 62 miles an hour. That's just 18 miles offshore. The storm's still some 35-ish miles southeast of where we are right now. Expected to make landfall here near the Alabama-Mississippi border. That's only 15 miles away from where we are. You can see the rain is coming down and we are getting some strong wind gusts. I'll still say short of tropical storm strength wind gust here, but the wind is certainly picking up. You can tell, as always with these tropical systems, there's a lull and then there's a gust of wind, and that's certainly what we're dealing with here right now. The rain, it is falling. I want to give you some numbers here. In Jackson County, they set up 2 shelters. Earlier this afternoon, when we were talking to you for your 6 o'clock news, 25 people were in those shelters. I was told by emergency management officials that the people who decided to seek shelter here were those who lived in low-lying areas or people who might need medical attention. Tonight in those shelters, that number is up in the upper 60s. People certainly taking this storm serious now that this track has moved further to the east. We're watching in Pensacola on the local news there as they are getting slammed as well. Hurricane force conditions there, gust up to hurricane strength there along the Pensacola and the Florida Panhandle coast. We're expecting those same conditions to move this way. Likely to see a tornado watch added to the list of watches that are already in effect here. If there is good news here in Jackson County tonight, it is that this storm is going to make landfall as the tide is going out, meaning that up to 5-foot storm surge that could come with this storm is going to be a little less impactful since the water is going out. But certainly storm surge warnings are in effect here in this part of coastal Mississippi, as well as a hurricane warning here tonight, just in case those winds kick up. But we're expecting the winds to stay around 70 miles an hour. That's only 5 miles an hour short of hurricane force strength. That's the sustained winds. We're certainly expecting wind gusts to be in that hurricane category tonight as this storm continues to track at that 14 mile an hour forward motion, which is pretty fast for a tropical system. Expected to be here later tonight, but you can already see we are feeling the effects of a tropical storm here in Jackson County, Mississippi. Natalie, Kate?
Well, Brett, I wanted to ask you, where did you start your day today? And as you've traveled closer to that Alabama-Mississippi line, have you seen concern from people grow as they get closer to the area where that storm's going to make landfall?
Well, you know, these are people who live in this kind of atmosphere. When you sign up to live along the Gulf Coast, you expect this. This is a tropical storm. They happen. But people are certainly taking this storm serious. Here in Jackson County, in Pascagoula, we did see a couple of houses where people boarded up. But these homes along the coast, they're built for this kind of weather. We're not talking about a Category 2, Category 3. We're not talking about a major hurricane here, a tropical storm. And people who live along this part of the country, they know how to prepare for this storm. They have certainly says a lot that people were preparing, especially in those low-lying areas, or people who thought they might need help from emergency workers who couldn't get there. It is good to hear that people took advantage of those inland shelters. That is 60+ lives that could be saved from this storm because they heeded the advice of emergency personnel here, the emergency officials who said, hey, if you live in a place that we might not be able to get to, please come be safe here. So it's good news to hear that those people did that. We went through Biloxi. Of course, in Biloxi, as soon as there is a mandatory evacuation at 5 o'clock this afternoon, the casino shut down. It is good. We watched a traffic flow out of Biloxi where people were leaving to go inland. People are taking warning for this storm, and it is a good reason, because not only are you worried about now the storm surge and the wind from this storm, and I'll get back to that, and that's why it's a big concern here, but they're worried about flash flooding. In some places, the rainfall overnight tonight could be up to 12 inches. That is a serious concern. But here in Jackson County, emergency officials told me they're very concerned about the amount of rain, not that they're getting tonight, but that they've had in the days before this and the weeks before this. The ground is saturated, which means with this additional rainfall and now with tropical storm strength winds, they are expecting a major problem with trees falling. That means roads won't be blocked by water, but blocked by trees that emergency crews will have to come out and clear. Not only will there be a transportation headache, but when trees come down, you know that means the power goes out.